The wind just keeps picking up here. We're getting pelted by sideways rain. The sand is in all this wind. It's pelting us on the face. And a couple of times, photographer Peter Poole had to grab his camera to keep the wind from toppling it over here. Things are quickly deteriorating here at Folly Beach. This is Aaron Wright's house along Martin Road, and you can see a couple of trees here from the very strong winds a little while ago came down and slammed into the top of his single-wide trailer. It also blew out some of the skirting down here. How did it sound, Ed, when the wind came through?
It was awesome. That wind, when I looked out the window, everything was blowing sideways. Straight line winds. Felt like it was going 100 miles an hour.
And you really didn't have anywhere to escape here in the single wide if you needed to, right?
No.
Carol and Gabby, all you have to do is look over my right shoulder and you'll see why people here in the Lake Lure area are so concerned. Look at all the smoke coming out of the top of the mountain. This has been going on now for almost 2 weeks. Now, you talked about the weather. Here is what's on tap for this weekend that has so many people here concerned. Wind, and lots of it. Sustained winds of 20 to 25 miles an hour and occasional gusts, fire officials say, of 40 to 45 miles an hour. Jeff, think about this. We are 2 weeks into this fire. This Saturday, it'll be 2 weeks since the fire was burning. We're now at the point where local residents here in the western North Carolina area want answers, and answers they are going to get. Look at the crowd gathered here for this community meeting. They're about to start, so right now people are just sitting there having conversations. What's really unusual about this is Friday we were escorted up here by the National Park Service and shown where that fire had raged just a few days ago down the side of that big mountain there. It came very close to some of the businesses here. Nigel and Gabby, witness after witness, we are hearing the gruesome details of what happened at the Emmanuel AME Church the night of the shooting massacre in June of 2015. The first witness today, this woman, Felicia Sanders. She was there when the whole thing unfolded. She watched Dylan Roof fire bullets at her 26-year-old son and her 87-year-old aunt, killing both of them. 12 noon is the scheduled time for Donald Trump to take the stage here at the Western North Carolina Agricultural Center. Look at all the people here on the floor in front of the stage waiting to see Mr. Trump. They are all fired up. The volume level is very high here, and certainly the excitement level is very high. Carol and Gabby, you talk about putting a lot of meaning into 9/11. That is standing here next to the 9/11 Memorial Wall at Bob Jones University. 2,977 names. All the people who perished in the 9/11 attacks are listed right here on this great big wall that you'll see when you first enter the campus. And I want to introduce to you Opus 6 here on campus as they sing a little bit of Deck the Halls. Go for it, gang. We have always served.
Yeah, right here, this is the Purple Heart.
91-year-old Jack Durham is among the oldest still living to remind us of the sacrifice.
I thought, this is a dream. I'm just having a nightmare. I'm going back to sleep. I wake up, I'm going to be in my bunk.
He was lucky in one sense. The war in Europe had just ended. Hitler and his Nazi regime were no more. Durham's job was to help deliver fuel to the many army vehicles that were spread across France once the fighting stopped.
I remember exactly that moment. Never forget it. Never forget it.
The 20-year-old soldier who was a world away from Pickens was walking through a field that had been cleared of mines, or so he thought.
It's not like a gunshot, like that. I mean, like explosion going. It's a lot different from a gunshot. You know.
When Durham woke up, he was lying in a crater that wasn't there just a few seconds before. And there was something else.
And I looked over to my left, and there lay my leg. And it had a brand new shoe on it. I hadn't worn it long, and I wanted that shoe. I don't know why I won't get that new shoe.
With that one step, Durham paid a hefty price, the kind that earned him a Purple Heart.
You've seen it, it's happened. There's no way of deleting it.
Like many soldiers, David Gerardo was moved by the events of 9/11. And while helping topple Saddam Hussein's regime and Operation Iraqi Freedom, he witnessed unimaginable horrors.
Sitting there driving down the road and all you're hearing is ding, 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 ding. I mean, just constant. That's all they're doing is just shooting at you.
10 men in Gerardo's battalion were killed in and around the Iraqi capital, including his mentor, Sergeant Gary Willett, who died when an improvised explosive leveled his vehicle.
I remember the explosion like it was, I mean, it's still vivid, the sound of it, you know. Come on.
Gerardo's service dog,
Free. Willett.
that helps calm the PTSD from which he has suffered since his return,
Cover me.
is named Willett after Gerardo's sergeant.
I'm Jack Durham. How you
David
doing?
Gerardo, nice to meet you.
The wars Jack Durham and David Gerardo served in were more than 60 years apart.
Do you ever have powdered eggs?
I think I've had powdered eggs probably more than I've had real eggs.
And as different as they were also the same.
I had it easy compared to what you did.
Lives lost, sacrifices made.
I'm humbled to have a hot shower. You know, I'm humbled to wake up and see my kids in the bed, you know.
I've been to a lot of other countries, but nothing compares with this country at all.
A message spanning generations of warriors.
And America's just the greatest place in the world.
It is one of the most gorgeous views in upstate South Carolina. Lake Jocassee, flanked by beautiful mountains. But it's what's inside one of those mountains Duke Energy is celebrating today.
Those fine people, you can give them a hand.
In a place that seems like the middle of nowhere, old-timers gather to celebrate a marvel they helped build.
The powerhouse that you'll get to see is more than 500 feet below ground, carved in or sits in a cavern.
The Bad Creek Hydroelectric Station was just a hole in the mountain in the late to mid-'80s.
It's the best project I was ever on.
Kerry York was the project manager, who says it was an undertaking. That's part of your life is right here.
I spent 6 years of my life here, and I enjoyed most of it.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming out today and joining us. This will probably be something you haven't seen before.
The tour began with an elevator ride, taking us 500 feet below the surface. This is what you see when you reach the bottom, a carved-out space that is so large, Greenville's tallest building could fit comfortably inside.
Basically what we're in right now is a construction tunnel, so this was what we call the powerhouse bypass tunnel.
You can see where the James Bond movie references come from, but this place is all about energy production. Water from the Bad Creek Reservoir flows through these pipes, producing 10% of Duke Energy's power capacity to the Carolinas, all nestled inside a mountain, churning for 25 years now. Tim Waller, WIFF News 4, Oconee County. Well, when we first met Kathy Harris, Nigel and Gabby, she was part of a protest at Bob Jones University, which you might remember was under fire for its handling of sexual abuse claims. Now Harris says our coverage of that event helped a cousin she knew as a child find her.
Oh, I'm reeling, I'm alive. Thank God.
Two cousins face to face for the first time in more than 40 years.
How you doing?
Kathy Harris was so young when she was abducted from her family, she forgot her real name as Selena. Do I call you Kathy or Selena?
That's my family's been calling me Selena all weekend.
Well, Harris's story begins in the late 1970s when her father passed away and she was taken by a woman he worked for. We first met Harris at this protest in Greenville, where she was holding a sign with her childhood picture on it.
It was a picture of me when I was a little girl, and it said "Protect the Innocent."
Harris, who attended Bob Jones University, felt faculty ignored her cry for help over being kidnapped and sexually abused as a child. What she didn't know is that 2 years after our story aired, her cousin in West Virginia, who had always wondered what happened to Selena, would recognize the girl in this photo and reach out.
And I'm thinking, this can't be real. This doesn't happen. This only happens this way in the movies. This is just somebody playing with me. It wasn't.
Harris is now back with family, with 40 years of catching up to do, and realizing what happened to her as a child.
I mean, I still think from time to time that it was something about me, but, sorry.
Wasn't her fault. Late today, I spoke to Harris's cousin in Martinsburg, West Virginia. She said her family is overwhelmed and excited to have found their long-lost cousin, and she, too, credits that photo of Harris on our website for helping them find Kathy. Carol and Gabby, Jessica Jenkins and her grandparents did make it to Myrtle Beach, but they say that drive through Spartanburg County was a rough one. It's the video that has people everywhere wondering how no one was killed. An RV hauling a pickup truck blows a front tire and crosses into the opposite lane. The red car you see that swerved to avoid what would have been a head-on collision was driven by 19-year-old Jessica Jenkins of Knoxville, Tennessee. Her grandparents were in the car with her.
We are. Yes. We're happy to be here. Yeah, we're happy. Yeah, we are. We're really happy to be here.
This picture, taken by Jenkins after her car came to a stop, shows how the cable median barrier sliced through the front of the vehicle.
It cut through my door and through the front of the grill, yeah.
The passenger side was skin.
So, yeah, my door wasn't open.
Jenkins and John and Susie Reinhardt say it all happened in a split second. The Reinhardts are crediting their granddaughter's quick reaction for saving everyone's life.
I have all kinds of faith in her driving now. It just happened. I have faith in her, period.
Well, another question I had for Jenkins, how did she know to swerve left at the second that RV came right at her, which saved everyone in the car? Her answer to that at 5 o'clock tonight. Carol and Gabby.
It's not just the man who lost that home, he also has a dog. And in order for the two of them to stay together, the two are now out braving the elements.
WYFF News 4's Tim Waller reports.
There is no smoldering rubble. The fire at this home happened months ago, leaving little behind.
Absolutely worthless. Eating machine.
But standing strong and still managing a smile is Jeffrey Bo Severs and his dog.
He looks like a white dog with a black spot, but he's really a black dog with a white spot. So.
When the fire took their home, Severs had the option to move into a shelter, but his dog, Mance Jolly, wasn't welcome there.
Who do you have to take care of your baby? You know, it's like our baby. He is a good baby.
So Severs stayed, choosing to sleep outdoors rather than give up the dog who brings him so much joy.
Yeah, we just put our sleeping bag out there, and that's where we've been staying right there.
You're sleeping right over there?
Yeah, that's the spot.
His neighbor is so concerned she started a GoFundMe site to raise money for a new home.
Well, I would like to see us get him into some shelter, and I would like to see us make sure he has food on the table. I think as Americans, everybody has that right.
When his home burned, there was no insurance, and there are no savings to help rebuild. Severs doesn't seem to mind the outdoors, but winter is just around the corner.
The cold don't really bother me. I mean, I don't like to be having to sit out in it without being able to move around. But
for now, he has the warmth of a dog.
He's a pretty good little heater too. Now you crawl up under that sleeping bag. Yeah, I tell you what, he's a little heater.
And a community of people who care. Tim Waller, WYFF News 4, Anderson County.